West Asia is witnessing a sharp and dangerous escalation as tensions between the United States and Iran threaten to push the two countries closer to a full-scale direct military confrontation all over again. Fresh clashes broke out in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. military said American forces fired on and disabled two Iranian-flagged tankers. These vessels allegedly tried to break the U.S. blockade on Iran's ports. Washington has now stopped 4 ships in total since the U.S. blockade has been in place. In response to what's been happening, Tehran issued a warning, meanwhile, saying that the Iranian armed forces are fully prepared to respond to any further aggression in the Strait of Hormuz.
The action carried out last night was both a blatant violation of international law and the United Nations Charter, as well as a violation of the ceasefire, and it was not the first time either. Of course, as you are aware, the country's defenders responded with full force, struck them hard and repelled their aggression. Therefore, while we are nominally in a state of ceasefire, our armed forces remain fully prepared and are monitoring the situation closely, wherever necessary, with full force.
This latest episode of the fighting coming just a day after the U.S. military accused the Iranian forces of launching missiles, drones, fast attack boats towards 3 American destroyers. In fact, these were operating near the Strait of Hormuz, reportedly. The U.S. Central Command has said none of the warships were hit. American forces say they responded with self-defense strikes and targeted Iranian military infrastructure. According to Washington, the strikes hit missile and drone launch sites, command center, surveillance positions that were used to track U.S. naval movements in the region. In fact, Iran presenting a very different version of events. The IRGC claiming its Navy had carried out a large-scale retaliatory operation against the American destroyers. They claim it was done after fresh provocation by the United States. And Tehran said the first was an alleged U.S. attack on an Iranian oil tanker on Wednesday. The second provocation, according to Iran, was the entry of American warships towards Hormuz. They claim the warships tried to enter the strategic waters despite warnings. And the IRGC claims they used anti-ship ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones in the operation, and even alleged that the U.S. destroyers suffered significant damage. Trump has rejected those claims. Trump said there was no damage to the 3 destroyers and claimed American forces had destroyed several Iranian small boats while intercepting the missiles fired at the ships. He also said the U.S. Navy had successfully moved through the strait and would continue enforcing its naval blockade on Iran. But the crisis is now expanding beyond military exchanges. Iran is also moving to assert greater control over Hormuz. Tehran has announced a new system requiring all ships passing through the strait to submit detailed information to a newly created body called the Persian Gulf Strait Authority. The new rules basically require vessels to disclose ownership details, crew nationalities, cargo information, and destinations before entering the waterway. This is Iran's crucial attempt to formalize its control over the Strait of Hormuz, so that's significant. And the U.S. has strongly opposed it. The U.S. Secretary of State has said it is unacceptable that Tehran is trying to normalize the right to control an international waterway. Here's what he said.
Iran now claims that they have a right to control an international waterway. They claim that they have a right to control it. What is the world going to do about that? Is the world going to accept that Iran now controls an international waterway? Because if the world is prepared to accept that, then be ready, because there's like 10 other countries that are going to start doing the same thing in their international waterways, or in international waterways near their countries. That's an unacceptable thing that they're trying to normalize.
Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts to prevent a wider conflict appear to be struggling. The U.S. Secretary of State has said Washington is expecting a response from Iran to the 14-point peace proposal by today. With the ceasefire holding extremely tenuously, these developments could lead to a potential collapse as well. Adding to the global concern, China in the latest has confirmed that an oil products tanker carrying a Chinese crew also came under attack in the Strait of Hormuz. Beijing has expressed serious concern over the growing risks to commercial shipping and energy supplies in the region. And Iran has also seized the oil tanker Ocean Koi, remember, in the Gulf of Oman. Iranian state media claimed the Barbados-flagged tanker was carrying Iranian oil and was attempting to disrupt the country's exports. The vessel, which has been under U.S. sanctions since February, has now been escorted to Iran's southern coast and handed over to judicial authorities. And as the standoff deepens across the Gulf, fears are also mounting that the Strait of Hormuz, which is already the epicenter in a way when it comes to these tensions, could further become the main battleground if the fragile ceasefire collapses.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.